Well, you say it's blowing your way, Shashi Tharoor, but the fact is that your primary attack on the CPM government seems to be that of corruption, the gold smuggling case and so on. But that's something which the Chief Minister says is being politically driven by the centre. The agencies are being used to target him, and that's actually an argument which in other instances the Congress subscribes to, that indeed central agencies are being used to hound the ruling regime's opponents.
No, but frankly, enough of the evidence that has been presented so far suggests that there is a case. Whether the manner in which it's pursued shows any political vengeance is to be seen, because the elections are already coming up on the 6th of April. As long as the cases are pursued beyond that and the truth is established and justice is served, then no one will complain. I mean, the fact is that whether you call it political or not, apparently gold was smuggled. Apparently diplomatic consignments were misused. Apparently contracts were signed, so much so that the government has had to repudiate the contracts for the trawlers. And the government has had to disown the contracts for the sprinkler company that took over the data, health data of Kerala. And the truth is, every time anything happens, this government says, we didn't know about it, it was the bureaucrats, it was the officials. What kind of government is this, that every single scandal that arises, they claim innocence and no knowledge, and they promptly blame the governing officials? That means they don't know how to run a government, which is another reason why they don't deserve to be there.
You know, Mr. Tharoor, I have to ask you this, and this is something that you, the Congress, get asked all the time, but it still bears repetition, that it's still confusing for a lot of people when here you are attacking the CPM government in Kerala while you're fighting with the CPM and the Left Front in West Bengal.
We in Kerala obviously find that difficult to accept what happens elsewhere, but we also broad-minded enough to understand that this is a very big country. There's a lot of diversity amongst our various states, and that the history of the parties and of their relationship with each other and with other parties is different in the two states. Kerala essentially has been till very recently a two alliance conflict between a left-led alliance and a Congress-led alliance for about 4 decades now. So in those circumstances, this is a traditional rivalry. The BJP is a kind of Johnny-come-lately. They're not even competitive except in 5 or 6 of the 140 constituencies. So the BJP isn't a factor between these two fronts. In Bengal, you've got a different phenomenon. We've had a spin-off of the Congress in the shape of the TMC, rising and becoming a regional party of considerable significance. There is no equivalent for that in Kerala. In a sense, you might argue that the equivalent of the TMC in Bengal is actually the CPM in Kerala. The CPM in Bengal has now become a rather well-behaved and more or less sort of peaceful social democratic kind of party rather than the Communist Party claims to be. And they are the ones who have allied with the Congress against the excesses of both the rising BJP and the governing TMC. Now, so the history of each state is different. The pattern is different. I think it would be a bit too facile of us to draw straight analogies. Nevertheless, obviously, here in Kerala, we see our own reality, and the CPM and the Left Front it leads is our political opponent, and we are absolutely tooth and nail against them. On national issues, when it comes to post-election, on matters involving, let's say, the extraordinary bigotry of the BJP and some of their policies, the left and us make common cause on secular issues. We both, to that degree, share the same secular beliefs.